train go by. Oh, it's you and them weights.
Come on, pick up the weights, will you?
Okay.
You're a little late today, ain't you?
Yeah. Hey, that looks great. That's a beautiful looking set of muscles.
How many times have I told you not to call them muscles? You want to sound like an amateur? Call them pecs.
Well, what's the difference? Big deal. The fact is you got them.
Shit. Well, I'm going to tell you, you have them too. If you'd only work out. A couple of licks and you quit for the day.
I'm very happy with my pecs.
We're closed. We don't open till 6 o'clock.
I don't know why people don't eat at home. Every time I eat, I get sick.
You don't have to tell me nothing about restaurant food. Hey, listen, Slob. I ordered another set of barbells. You want to go halvies with me?
Well, don't I always?
Oh, that's great. This is Charlie Strongtree's latest invention. He says it develops the latissimus, you know?
Yeah, we're both a little weak in that department.
Yeah, well, he says 2 weeks of that and we'll be the envy of Muscle Beach.
Hey, won't them tomatoes go for us, huh?
Look, I ain't doing it for no tomato. I do this for myself. You wouldn't believe it. You know, Slob, at one time I was so skinny I was embarrassed to undress in front of myself.
I see what you mean. But you know, there's one thing. I don't go for those guys at Muscle Beach. The waist is so thin, there's no room for any food.
Yeah, those idiots. They're way over the top, you know? Who wants to go around walking in a leopard skin all the time, anyway? Those guys can't wear clothes. Hey, I look pretty good in the suit, though, don't I? Don't you?
Yeah, great. Ooh, especially that double-breasted brown job. What about me?
Well, your clothes don't do too much for you. Hey, feel this.
That's pretty hard. As hard as mine.
It's a matter of opinion. Hey, but you won't argue about these legs. Get those.
What's wrong with mine?
They're soft, flabby. If you did what I told you to do, you'd have legs like mine.
Well, let's forget about the legs. I don't care about them anyway. They don't show. You know what I really want? A big, thick neck.
I think you'd do better concentrating on the legs. I don't know how you even get around. I don't know how you walk. Don't you want a set of legs like mine?
Oh, I go for your triceps and your biceps. They look great, but I wouldn't have your legs if you give them to me.
Well, I ain't giving you nothing. As far as I'm concerned, you can go around on those pins for the rest of your life.
There you go, getting sore again. A guy can't be honest around here.
Hey, no, Connie! Don't look! Okay, now, Cot. Cotty, we want you to do us a favor. We want you to judge a contest. We want you to decide who's got the best-looking legs in this establishment.
And just because he's the boss, don't play favorites. All right. Which one of us got the best?
In this establishment, I have.
I got a sneaking hunch she's been using our barbells.
Mexico's going to pay for the wall because Mexico, I love the Mexican people, I respect the Mexican leaders, but the leaders are much sharper, smarter, and more cunning than our leaders.
Oh, Davy, do we have to?
Hi, I'm breaking in Ross Terrio, Ward 6.5, with Ross Terrio, which is only a half hour tonight. Because Ross, what happened? We almost had a blackout.
It's the bad camera. I pressed if I have it.
It might have been. It was probably being used to photograph the angry baby blimp over Manchester City Hall, and and the angry baby might have broken it. Ross, so we've got less than a half hour now.
Yeah, a lot less.
Well, we're introducing some new shows. You know, remember when we were kids, they used to have summer replacements. There's going to be Hash Slinger, the story of a restaurateur that, works his way right up to the U.S. Senate. That's a thrilling show. And then we're going to have Ward 6.5 with the fabulous Ross Terrio filling in for me.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So,
you have any questions for me, Marine?
What's going on with your campaign?
There is no campaign.
I thought you signed up to run for something.
I didn't sign up to run for anything.
All right, okay.
Where did you get that idea?
Just in talking to you in days past.
I did get a personal message from Ray Buckley, but I can't share it till after the November election.
What is that? Did he thank you for not running?
Something like that. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding about the message, but I can be very rambunctious. But this is your 20 minutes or so.
You know there's no Ward 6.5 in Manchester. And
6.5 is half of what, Ross? I know
13.
that you're a Republican.
13.
And we're not the Republicans that used to be the aristocrats and everything. You're the deplorables.
Oh.
Right.
And I'm a huge fan of Teddy Gass's.
Yes, it's mighty impressive, the balloon. I think it's even bigger than the one that was in London. Too bad we don't have the wide shots, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we have a variety of other backgrounds, but they're equally fatuous.
So, now what do you want to talk about tonight?
I don't know. I was defending Donald Trump off air, as you know.
Yeah, so go into that. Are you switching parties? Are you going to be...
No, I'm just saying that when Nixon in 1971 wanted to pull the U.S. troops out of South Korea, which should have been done...
Or Vietnam.
South Korea. My brother-in-law was stationed in South Korea during the Vietnam War. The Korean CIA and our own CIA worked actively to bribe Carl Elber and his staff, who was the Speaker of the House.
Democrat?
Plus, of course he was a Democrat, and about 14 other prominent Democrats. And that's how Tip O'Neill became Speaker, because Carl Albert had to step down.
Okay.
Of course, not. The only reason that came out because Jerry Ford was in a tight contest to get reelected, and he let the intelligence community leak some of that. I think George H.W. Bush might have been the head of the CIA then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he destroyed the crown jewels, which were all the top secret documents. You see, folks, that Donald Trump grew up in the same era as I did, although, he's... What? He's about he's 13 years older than me.
Is he 62? And
he grew up in a time when it was revealed that the CIA and the FBI and the super rich and foreign governments like the nationalist Chinese and other people constitute what was called then the secret government, quote unquote secret government.
Deep state.
That's what it is now, but. It was
the Illuminati.
It was a tenet of Democrats, except for conservative Democrats, that CIA and FBI were corrupt, irredeemably corrupt organizations that undermined democracy. And Koreagate broke in '76, where the South Koreans were bribing people. Then there was the Taiwanese bribery scandal, which Tip O'Neill kind of got tainted by that. In fact. My father lived in Atlanta. My brother and I used to go down to Plains because we were excited Jimmy Carter was president because we were Democrats, young Democrats. We weren't even, not Ray Buckley's young Democrats. We weren't even registered. But one day, towards 1980, suddenly a monument, Sister City from Taiwan, pops up. And it turned out poor Billy Carter was taking some loot.
Billy the brother.
Yeah. And, but I'm just saying, when Donald Trump...
Do you ever drink Billy Bear?
No, I was too young. And the cans, people kept it for the cans. That was a collectible back in the days before the internet. Somebody made a chair out of it. But the point is, Donald Trump was born in 46. So 74, you have the Church Commission hearings into the corruption, all the stuff that came out about Watergate, the bribes. It was truly incredible. And the assassinations. What did LBJ said? Under JFK, we were running a goddamn Murder Incorporated down in the Caribbean. So you have all the stuff. It was a tenet of a liberal that these organizations were part of a secret government, utterly corrupt and anti-democratic.
So you're on the Trump train now?
No, but I'm just saying when this person with his infelicitous speech, who says things in such a crude way, like a New York City television commercial advertising cut-rate electronics products in the 70s. Well, there was this one. What's the story, Jerry? This guy who owned the cut-rate thing. Were you ever in New York? Well, he had a hard hat on. What's the story, Jerry? The story is, if you got a union card, all these union card, this, the library card, come in. And then they say, is that the story, Jerry? That's the story. But that was that New York, vulgar hard sell. Howard Stern comes out of that culture, and Trump, who was born rich but not part of the elite, because his father was he was a short-fingered vulgarian. Short-fingered means he could never get his hand into his pockets to pay for anything. But that's the culture he comes out of. He's very crude. But
so you're saying
he came up in a culture that, then you have all the people. Then the other
I'm trying
thing,
to try the things together here, though.
but I'm just saying.
You're saying that the Trumpster, when he called out the intelligence community, the FBI or the CIA...
He's harking back to the 70s. And the corruption. Richard Helms was brought in, who was appointed by LBJ. He was the number 2 or number 3 at the time of the Bay of Pigs. And, if they had politics, it would have been Republican or something. But, they're the CIA. He was brought in, 71 or 72 or 73. 1973. Because there's another 9/11. That was the coup in Chile that overthrew Salvador Allende.
And then Pinochet took over, right?
And
the dictator who murdered the chief of staff of the military to get him out of the way so they could have the coup. And the
Allende was a far left person, right?
Yeah, and the CIA was complicit in that. But Nixon had been a PepsiCo lawyer, and the head of PepsiCo was mad.
Remember his Checker speech? That was a command performance. That was awesome.
That's irrelevant, because we're talking about what you'd call the deep state. But the head of PepsiCo was mad because Allende had nationalized some Pepsi distributorship or the Pepsi bottling. So Helms is brought in there to Nixon's office, and he's told, get rid of him.
Was it Pepsi or Moxie?
Pepsi. You savage. You 6.5. And Helms said, if ever I was given the marshal's baton to do something, it was over that. And because PepsiCo wanted it done. Of course, Kissinger and everybody was working to get the guy out. But like the final straw was one of Nixon's former clients. Jesus, they were going to indict Nixon, impeach him for tax fraud. LBJ went to Washington in 1938. When he left in 1973, he had a fortune of $20 million. Didn't have a dime in 1938. What's 20 million now? 200?
Yeah. How did that happen?
I wonder how it happened, huh? I wonder. So when everybody's got these tears squirting out of their eyes and everything, Burt Lance, Jimmy Carter's, what was he, the budget director?
So
he was connected with BCCI in the
to bring it out and to tie into current events. So are you saying that Trump was right to call them out, or?
I'm just contextualizing it. I mean, he is a buffoon, and he comes from he has his problems, and he comes out of a particular era, the real estate industry in New York, which is utterly corrupt, and mobbed up. But what wasn't? What isn't? Or then in those days. But he is who he is. But watching all these people squirting tears. Another tenet of the left was the Soviet Union, people serving the Soviet Union, like the Hollywood 10, who were Communist Party members, under party discipline, who report John Howard Lawson, one of the Hollywood 10. His contact was Gerhard Eisler, one of the most notorious members of the Comintern. I mean, they were under the party discipline.
Mr. Brennan, the CIA director.
But the point is, I was brought up as a leftist. Oh my God, that means nothing. And now suddenly everybody's Democrats and everything. Comey should have been
Brennan was a
fired.
communist, and so for him to cry crocodile tears over Putin is just crazy.
Which was Brennan, the Democrat? Does that
The
make him a
the communist democratic man who ran the CIA. He avowed communist.
How could a CIA person be a Democrat? All FBI
Obama pointed
directors
him.
have to be.
Obama pointed him.
Yeah, but Louis Freeh, who hated Bill Clinton's guts, was a Republican. Louis Freeh spent his entire time trying to destroy Clinton's presidency. Does that sound familiar?
Didn't do it. Took him 8 years, and he served 8 years.
He tried to link Clinton with the very successful Chinese nuclear espionage in Livermore Labs in California, and tried to say that that campaign cash coming from Chinese Americans was actually coming from Peking, and really tried hard to do that, and refused to brief him. Refused to brief his staff on that. Refused to brief Madeleine Albright. And then when that failed,
was a disaster. Madeleine Albright was a disaster.
He cooperated with the Republicans, and then when they got the sex scandal, let's go to town. But Bill Clinton used a 4-letter Anglo-Saxonism made into an adjective to describe Louis Freeh. I mean, the FBI is always corrupt.
Well, J. Edgar Hoover.
I mean, and now suddenly watching all these people, it's a shock to see all the Republicans crying all these tears, and then the Democrats tearing their clothes. Oh my God, the Rosenbergs, even if they had been communists and gave the atomic bomb secrets, their heart was in the right place. That's the crap I was brought up with. I mean, come on.
Soviet archives were released after the fall of the Soviet Union. And they know that the Rosenbergs, I don't know about the wife, but the husband was definitely involved in espionage.
Oh, yeah, and she was too. And
I think she knew, but I don't think she was active. Alger Hiss, the famous Democrat?
Well, yeah, he was part of the, he was a part of the State Department. He was with Roosevelt at Yalta.
That's the guy who...
He was the Carnegie Endowment of Peace.
Really?
He was he was under...
Isn't that the guy who did Joe McCarthy destroy him? Was it Alger Hiss?
No, Nixon destroyed Hiss. And Hiss spent his entire... it's a fascinating thing. But I'm just saying, there's nothing new under the sun. And... Donald Trump is just infelicitous. I mean, he's a jerk, He just says stuff.
He's just saying things that other people have thought in the past.
Oh, yeah, Nixon, the 1st October surprise when he used the nationalist Chinese circles, and it's pretty much proven now, to get the president of Vietnam, South Vietnam, not to go to the peace table and frustrate LBJ. So that he could keep Humphrey from getting elected president in 1968. I mean, you can go on and on. South Korea, which started its Operation 71, modeled its lobbying after what Israel did, People, we could you look at any foreign, look at Mitterrand. They were taking money from despots. All French presidents were as corrupt as American presidents. I guess they're the only...
But the Trumpster is a wealthy man, so he doesn't need to take money, so he can be an independent...
Yeah, but he needed money for his empire, his deals, remember?
Well, that was before he was in
The
politics.
stuff that was going on, with him over in Moscow is about getting cash for his deals. But that went through
How do you feel about the Mueller investigation? Here's my problem with it. So he's investigating collusion. That's fine. Fine collusion, but I guess he's casting this wide net and indicting people for things that have nothing to do with Russian collusion.
Yeah, but he passes that on to like the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah, I don't
but
know,
see, terrorism and all that is financial crime, and one of the first two executive orders that W, who him and his father, no two people were closer to the Saudis than those two jackasses. I mean, the first couple of $1 million W ever made on his own was from the Saudis. First thing he did was he unceremoniously canned the Canada and U.S. effort to get Bank of International Settlement standards in the Cayman Islands and Panama to stop the money laundering. He stopped that, and then he pulled the FBI off of Saudis, investigating them. Now you got those jerks like who's the guy that does InfoWars? Alex Jones, who takes these these nuggets and then just runs with the stuff. But I don't know. When I'm watching this stuff, I don't watch TV. I read, and if you know history, it's nothing new. Nixon. The only difference between Nixon and LBJ is that this jackass hasn't been able to kill several 100,000 people in wars. I mean, the deal that Nixon got in '72, the end of '72, was the same deal he got in January of '69, but he killed another 30,000 American troops and countless.
Well, 50,000 American troops died. I don't
58.
But I don't think that many died in 3 years.
Yeah.
No, but didn't he campaign on wanting to end the war?
No, but he didn't do it.
Well, he did. He got us out.
Yeah, he did it just before the war. I mean, before the election. And then he bombed the living hell out of Hanoi in '72, the Christmas bombings. He was a madman himself. We don't have much time, but let's talk about the Christmas bombings. When he took the Secretary of the Air Force, pushed him aside, and took over control of the Air Force.
This is my understanding and I could be wrong. You know more about it than I do, but Nixon wanted out of Vietnam.
But he didn't.
The North Vietnamese weren't negotiating. Had left the negotiating table or something. So he said, "Let's bomb them viciously and get them back to the table, or get them to be a little bit more flexible."
And what happened within 2 years?
The end of the war. They left. They did the Vietnamization. They left and said that he was out of office. The Ford took over. The North Vietnamese invaded South Vietnam, and it's the end of the war.
Yeah, because
Watergate.
I remember editing a book in '63, 90, what was it, like 90, almost over 90% of all the territory outside of the big cities on the coast were held by the Viet Cong. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was a worthless war for nothing. All fought because of ideology. Because LBJ wasn't going to be called the man who lost Vietnam. Because Truman was tarred with the man who lost China. The man who lost China. That was Republican
But strangely enough,
politics,
history, you know how history, now the Vietnamese want to be our allies because they're afraid of China. The Chinese and the Vietnamese don't like each other.
They never liked each other. They invaded them in '79.
Yeah.
But we took the side.
The Vietnamese hate the Chinese. They want to be our allies.
We took when Vietnam invaded Cambodia to stop the
Pol Pot.
Pol
Khmer
Pot
Rouge.
and the. You can't even call it a genocide. It was even. It was unbelievable. The United States took Pol Pot's side and supported him in the UN. And I remember Alexander Haig talking about that. So when we're all crying tears about, oh, Trump, he's just, he's got the polish of a Howard Stern or the guy, Jerry. What's the story, Jerry? Would you rather, JFK was a very polished guy, and he had... He had people murdered.
I was not, let me just say, I supported somebody else before.
In 1960? Is this another life?
What I liked about Trump is, the one thing I didn't like about Obama, at first he'd say, let me be perfectly clear. And he'd always...
That's Nixon.
Well, as did Obama. He would say, let me be perfectly clear. And for instance, the Red Line in Syria, he didn't mean anything he said. And you can keep your dog. If you like your dog, you keep. So Trump.
He's a politician.
The one good thing about Trump is he doesn't, he kind of speaks his mind and he doesn't, blow smoke up your.
He doesn't smoke blows. You're crazy. The difference between him and Hillary Clinton was she couldn't go 2 days without lying. He can't go 2 minutes without lying. I mean, the guy's obviously off his friggin' rocker.
And I've heard this from two. Let's talk about Hillary for a minute and why I'm.
But we only got a few minutes.
Okay.
Because we're going to a half-hour
I have,
special.
yeah.
Joel Elber at Fenway Park.
So
the tears and the pathos,
all right.
the obscenities all got bleeped out.
So I know two people that worked in the Clinton White House.
You did.
One in healthcare, one in the military.
And what was their wage scale when they put like the paper seats down and stuff in the toilets?
No. One was in the military. He was security. He was in the Marine Corps.
10,000.
And the other guy who worked for the National Health Service. He said Bill Clinton.
You already told this story.
Yeah, nicest guy. Hillary is just a horrible, evil demon from hell.
Yes, she is a lesbian witch who eats aborted babies.
I don't know about that, but I do know that the two separate eyewitnesses would say she's a horrible, mean person who is completely manufactured. What you see on TV is completely manufactured and fake.
She's actually a not much nicer person in private. But
no,
here's the thing.
Semi-private.
You're talking about people that never really met her. Now
I'm talking about people who worked with her for years. I'm not talking to somebody who met her at a campaign stop and said, "Oh, hi, Hillary. Oh, how are your kids, John?" or whatever.
I'm not talking about that.
I love your orange jacket, John. I'm talking about people that work with her day in and day out for years, for long periods of time.
You're using it's a what was it, Coke argument? It's something, the two Coke argument. You like to always bring up stuff like that, but we won't get into that.
Right.
The fact is, Donald Trump is the biggest jerk that's ever been president, which is pretty amazing when you think of people like James Buchanan and.
What about your
Jerry
Democratic
Ford.
hero Andrew Jackson, who committed?
Andrew Jackson was one of the great. Andrew Jackson committed
genocide against Native American people.
Oh my God!
Trail of Tears.
Oh my God! Isn't that terrible?
It was actually.
Yeah, it was.
You guys, up until recently, you had the Jackson something dinners. What was it, the Jackson? I forget what you guys call them in New Hampshire. Your buddy Raybo chuckles.
First of all, the Jackson Democratic Party was through by the end of the Van Buren administration and became the Southern Whigs. So let's not get into that, because just saying that they were Democrats, just like the Republicans, Thomas Jefferson, who created America and was a slaveholder himself. But we can talk about that because Jackson
didn't he have a relationship with Sally Hemings?
Jackson created
modern
modern democracy. He hated the plutocracy, and with that, you've run out of your Ward 6.5 comes to its ignominious defeat.
Let's go down and get a drink.
You can't reveal stuff like that. You're not going to be a successful replacement host. Bye, folks. Enjoy the whatever it is, and we'll be talking about Andrew Jackson and the man on the $2 bill sometime in August, maybe next week.
All right.
If you actually tell me you're coming.
Oh, I was down south.
Are we running the other show?
I was down south.
I'll tell you, with Jeter being one of the owners of the Marlins, I think he's going to help the Yankees in a big, massive trade.
Why would he do that?
I think their best hitter there, Stanton. Yeah,
Giancarlo.
I think he's coming to New York.
Really?
I think Jeter's going to give him to New York.
Why would he give him
with about
to
3
him?
or 4 players? You're going to see that deal within the next month.
Why would he give him to him? You mean Jeter knows the organization well enough that he knows good prospects he can get for them, or is he just because he's a Yankee and bleeding Yankee, purple, whatever the hell you're calling it?
It doesn't matter, where Jeter is. Obviously.
Oh yeah, he owns another
but
team.
You know what,
He's
but
going to
right
do anything for the Yankees.
His heart is still a Yankee.
It is. I'm walking out of this.
No, I'm telling you, his heart is always still a Yankee. I don't care what anybody tells me.
It is, and he,
Look, geez, now you too.
I think that could happen, don't underestimate, you know, the Yankees and the Marlins, wheeling and dealing.
They're already talking
Yeah.
trade,
Yeah.
and the deal hasn't even been
Yeah,
finalized
that's
as
right.
far as
Yeah,
ownership.
Yeah, yeah.
Boy, they're jumping the gun.
Yeah.
Joel, we went the wrong way. It's the other way. Yes, it's down to the left. That way.
So what'd you go this way for?
Because I'm stupid.
Oh, Jesus. I'm the brains of this outfit. Give me the friggin' tickets. Sons of So we just wasted 5 minutes, and now we gotta go down, take a left.
No, we gotta go to the left.
Well, this is what I just said.
Well, you couldn't read a map either.
Well, you said just follow the eye. Yeah, we followed the eye. Follow the eye to hush crap.
Joel, none of your shameful behavior. It's a center court, like you said. It was this way.
And then we gotta walk back all the way back here?
No, I'm sure we can cut this way.
No, I don't think so. Without luck, we'll probably end up in Siberia.
We should have gone to the $10 garage.
Yeah, we'll end up at the Canadian Goose.
As long as it's not the French Canadian Goose. That would be Glen Argelette.
Yeah, you're right.
I wonder what happened to the birthday cake.
It's in Joe Kelly's freezer. This is ridiculous.
What can you do? You didn't want to get the $10 ticket.
Yeah, and then be walking 6 miles.
We already are. Oh, here it is. Okay. Now, where's the concierge? Joel Elber heading to Fenway Park for the first time in how many years?
Yeah, probably about 6.
I thought it was 5.
No, 5, 6. Who gives a rat's head?
You say invited me?
Oh, no.
I'm not going
Said
anywhere.
pardon
Sorry.
me.
I'm a CEO of a company. I'm not going anywhere. Sorry, I'm a CEO of a company. I'm not going anywhere.
We're the stars of TV up in Manchester, New Hampshire.
No. Well, number one.
Boy.
No, like this, yeah, like a brown. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Oh, this one here. This one here. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Whatever you want, guys. Thank you.
That's the Honorable Joel Elber, state representative from New Hampshire. He gets paid $100 a year. Oh my God, look at that.
So, you're right at the...
That looks good, baby. Let's have a close-up.
It's all good.
There you go. There you go. Oh, you too, huh? Joel's on radio up in Great Manchester, New Hampshire. What Donald Trump calls is a drug-infested hole.
Really?
Yeah. Let's not get into. Well, he drops in every now and then. We can't get rid of him.
Oh, that's too bad. Get his autograph next time. Make some money off him.
It's Melania Trump that we want her autograph.
I call security.
We're not fans.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Oh, we're not fans of the Trump, particularly Joel. Joel goes off on tirades on radio about him. There you go. He's a state rep in New Hampshire. Yeah, he gets paid $100 a year. There's 400 of them up there. Yes, and they do a lousy job, don't they, Joel?
There you go.
Jeez, look at all that mustard. Holy smoke. Joel, any word? Is it tasty?
Sucks.
I'll eat it then.
A little skimpy on the peppers and onions for a lousy $10. Stick it up his
Joel, this is supposed to be for the baseball show. We're gonna have to bleep you out now.
I didn't know it was for the baseball show.
Oh, do you want to pose with Kyle Yastrzemski? You know, you can sit down in his chairs for your $10. Here we are. There's Kyle Yastrzemski. Ted Williams, the Honorable Joel Elber, who's in a bad mood.
I'm in a good mood. I expected better. I'm very disappointed on this mother.
Well, we'll get another one.
This freaking guy probably doesn't have a green card. Call immigration on him. You know what? I'll call the Trumpster. Yeah. Ship him out to freaking Singapore with Jude Concum there.
Okay, Joe. Well, they don't have Mickey Mantle down here. I think we're gonna have to turn on the light.
Really?
Is the light on?
No.
Let's try again.
Oh, here we go.
Still can't get you. You're too dark.
That's good.
We'll use the night shot.
Maybe my nose is in the way.
Oh, there's Dustin Pedroia up there. Joel Elber, who are you going to be voting for the All-Star?
I don't vote for the All-Star.
Why not?
No interest.
What do you think about being a state rep and yet they wouldn't let you into the park because of your rusty hips?
I love being a state rep. I was there for 2 years, not running for re-election. I'm in retirement.
They did let you in when you told them that you were the Honorable Joel Elber.
And for the record, I didn't miss one session in 2 years. I was there every time there was a house.
You got stuff in your mouth, Honorable.
Oh, I do.
The right field. There's the right field team store. We lucked out. What's so proudly we at the twilight's red gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars flag was still there. Oh, say does that star spangled banner yet wave? Disabled American veteran hat. The game
game sucks. I mean, it's it's bottom of the seventh. Red Sox are winning 7-1, 6-1. Yankees are tied 0-0 in the 11th inning against Toronto. So that's going to be a humdinger.
How many games behind are the Yankees?
1 game.
Holy smoke.
Yeah. Tampa Bay lost, so now they're 14 and a half. Toronto, if they lose, they'll be 16 and a half. And Baltimore, they're still in Singapore with dingling Donald Trump's poo-poo, and they're 22 and a half games out.
Is there anything you have to say to Peter White?
Peter White?
About if you're really a Red Sox fan or not?
You know, I am not a Red Sox fan, Peter White. I'm a devoted Yankee fan, my friend.
You're so interested in the game. Your cousin Morris is from Germany or lives in Germany?
He lives in Germany, but he's coming back, I think in the next month or two. He has a little place up in Maine, so Mike, I haven't seen him in about 30, 40, 50 years, maybe.
And what did he ask you?
If I was wearing my Yankee underwear tonight.
What did you say?
I said, no, I am not wearing my Yankee underwear.
What about you wearing your Gunsmoke underwear?
And Bonanza.
Your 10-gallon hat.
Yeah, I got little Joe in my with Ben Cartwright on my ass.
Okay. There's kids here.
Okay. Wow. Well, we're welcoming Mr. Baseball. We have Victoria watching on, who is a Russian. You're ethnically Russian, are you not?
I am.
Full-blooded?
Yeah, my mom's from Russia.
Where from in Russia?
Saratov.
And where's that?
I don't know.
Victoria, have you ever heard of that?
I heard of that. I've never
And my grandfather and grandmother are from Leningrad or
St. Petersburg. They don't call it Leningrad anymore, do they,
hated to
Victoria?
call it
There's also a lot of Russian Jews back then too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them are gone.
Okay.
I mean, they left the country.
Victoria, we're going to talk about baseball, and we know you Russians invented baseball, but we're going to talk baseball, and we'll be back with you on Matt Connaughton Unleashed. Hey, Mr. Baseball, is Cleveland now the clear favorite to win the World Series?
I don't know about the World
What's
Series.
the score? What's the score?
2-1 when I came in.
And what inning?
Cleveland?
It was Toronto.
Oh, Toronto.
Cleveland just got on the board. I think it was around the third or fourth inning. So
anything else to small?
Did you watch the game yesterday?
I did.
With the first inning, with the pitcher there bleeding like a...
yeah.
And you're telling me that the second base umpire didn't see it?
What the second base umpire?
Umpire.
Well, it's like the Russian Empire or the Ottoman Empire? You mean the umpire?
Yeah, right. The umpire.
I'm surprised.
See, Victoria, he actually does speak words.
That was bleeding.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was all stitched. The guy got like 10 stitches. Cut himself on a drone.
Why can't they let him put super glue on? I don't understand that.
Yeah,
they wouldn't let him do like, you remember,
illegal.
You can't do anything.
In
no
boxing, they
Band-Aids,
used to
nothing.
cement you, but then around the Marvin Hagler, when he won the championship, what was it, what was the guy he beat? He was a guy that they used to have to use super glue and cement on.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of that. But that's boxing where, Rocky Marciano, they used to...
I'm a good friend of Marvelous Marvin.
Marvin, well, he's my favorite. What a great boxer.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, did he get screwed out of two titles.
He
But
has a-
that's another.
He has a condo up in Jackson. And,
No kidding.
yeah, he used to come into the hotel where I worked.
He was an artist.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was great.
And a nice guy. I really liked him.
He was equivalent to, I always said Derek Jeter got cheated out of 2 MVPs. He got cheated out of 2 fights, at least 2 that I saw.
Yeah.
But
One.
Terry used 6 relievers, including Andrew Miller, and it's incredible.
You know, I think Terry's doing a great job with his pitching staff. He'll bring in Miller in the 3rd or 4th if he needs them.
Yeah.
Why wait till they fall behind?
Yeah.
And then last night he used them when they're ahead going into the 8th and 9th.
He's a hell of
very
a
good
manager.
managing. Very good managing.
Yeah, I'd say he's on the cusp of very good to. He might eventually be a great manager. You know, you have to wait a while. You know.
Gotta win 3 or 4.
Yeah. Well, even Earl Weaver only won. Didn't he only win 1? But he won 4 titles,
Yeah,
4 American League titles, and his team came in 1st or 2nd so many times, and he won 90 games so many times.
Right. He only won the 70 World Series, I believe.
70, right, but he won 4 pennants,
Yeah.
69, 70, 71. That 71 World Series.
Oh, that was
69's destiny with one of the greatest pitching staffs.
Steve Blass. I'll never forget that.
People
Threw a
forget
shutout in the last game. Then he couldn't find home plate the next year. He was almost out of baseball
That's
in
right,
a year.
that's right. But that Pittsburgh team, Clemente.
Oh.
But Tom Seaver, people forget what a great pitcher he was.
fabulous.
He was, yeah. And then 79, he won, and they got beat Pittsburgh again.
Right.
Beat them, that great team that was almost all African-American. We are family.
Yeah.
Willie Stargell was one great player.
He had a home run to win that
Remember when
last
hitting
game.
475 home runs meant you were just about as great as there was, because so few people had hit 500.
Right. He wasn't juiced.
Yeah, and
Imagine if the Indians do win it all this year, and because the Cleveland Cavaliers already won, so having 2 championships in one
Same city, yeah.
in the same city. That's
And they have been starving for a winner.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Baseball, Cleveland hasn't won since 48.
48.
The year they had to play off with the Red Sox.
Right.
Yeah. Really? And they've never been to the World Series since.
No, they have. 95, 97, but they
96,
lost.
Right. It was 95, 97.
Right. They lost
Right.
both.
Those were those were Manny was on those teams.
He was on...
Was he on 95?
Yeah, he was on both, I think.
160. He was on both, and they lost.
Yeah.
Who was the manager? He was a good manager.
What year?
What was it? 95 and 97.
For Cleveland?
Yeah.
95, they lost to Atlanta.
Yeah, the guy that did the Garcia Parra thing all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Hargrove.
I was just going to say Hargrove, yeah.
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 Boy, watch him in a batter's box. He was
Yeah.
like Garcia Parra after every pitch.
And the Cubs haven't been since 1908.
They haven't won since 08.
They were in 45.
And 35, 32, and 38.
So 38, Dizzy Dean was on that team.
Yes,
They haven't won
he
since
pitched a
08.
great game, but the Yankees swept them.
Right.
So if you imagine Cleveland winning today, so there'll be 4 straight for the championship, and they won 3 prior to that, so it'll be like 7 games in a row in the playoffs that they won. Yeah.
Yeah, if they win today, that's
Yeah,
7.
7 in a row.
Yeah.
Can the Dodgers beat the Cubs?
No.
I don't think so, but you know what? I
It's a
haven't picked
7-game
anything
series.
right yet.
None of us have.
Well-
Joel came the closest. He was Cleveland, remember? And the Cubs.
Well, they won a Cleveland and a Cubs series.
Oh.
You know, all these people out there.
I'd be pulling for Cleveland, but the rest
I'm
of the
pulling for Cleveland.
Yeah,
the rest of the world's
win,
pulling.
Yeah, I
it's
vote.
gotta be the
Yeah,
underdog.
see, I always root for the underdog, and I want to see the Cubbies win.
Sure.
Hey, let's take Mr. Baseball for people. Tell us who you are and you're John Weeks.
Right.
And how did you win the title, Mr. Baseball?
I was in a contest in Los Angeles. There were approximately 600 contestants, and it was a 3-day thing, I believe. It was in a bar. And
What, in a bar? Oh, wow.
Came down to another guy and
you.
Yeah. And he missed on the 29 World Series. I got it. We went from 03 on up.
That had to have been the Connie Mack and the A's.
Yeah.
And the young Jimmy Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Before his
what-
MVP.
Yeah. And one of those games,
But I can't
the
remember
Cubs
who it was.
led.
It was the Cubs.
Cubs led 8-0 going into the 8th inning. The Athletics scored 10 runs and won the game 10-8.
Mickey Cochran was the catcher. Hall of Famer.
Was he?
Was he with? No, he's Detroit. Who was
Yeah.
their catcher? Who was the great?
Gabby.
Mickey Cochran was the.
Gabby Hartnett
Detroit.
at one time.
Gabby, right. I know they had a Hall of Fame catcher.
Yeah.
Connie Mack had two great teams. The one from in the early 1910 era.
Yeah.
And who were beaten by the Boston Braves, weren't they, in 12? And then
In
that,
14.
Oh, 14. 14, yeah. And then they had the team that beat the Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig Yankees. Didn't they win the pennant 29, 30, 31?
No, they won it. Actually, none of those years. They won
No,
it.
I'm talking about the A's, the Athletics.
Oh, the Athletics.
Because
yes,
Babe Ruth,
yes.
the 28 World Series, is that the one against the Cardinals that he got thrown out stealing and ended
Yeah,
it?
to end the series, yeah.
Babe, yeah.
With Bob Musial up. I can't figure that one out.
Okay, we're not going to get into the Yankees.
No,
So they
no.
did win 3 American League pennants, but how many World Series did they win, the Athletics? They won 29.
They won in 29, 30.
But they didn't win 31, did
No, they didn't.
But you're Mr. John Weeks, Mr. Baseball, and you're a bartender at a restaurant.
It's called The Way We Cook, which is soon to be the North End Bistro.
Oh, okay.
Changing names.
And you will still be there. And what's the address?
Myrtle and Elm, I can put it that way.
Do people come in and try to stump you?
Yes.
Now, and at the end, that we keep missing you. At the end, you're always calling for somebody to pour a beer for you. Now, who's that? And
That's Cindy over at Billy's Sports
Billy's.
Bar.
I've been with Peter White, Joel's partner on the morning show, where I first heard you.
Yeah.
I'd like to do a show, get you. We'll go over and talk to Billy, get you like from
I
the
talked
road.
to him and he said to put it together and give him 3 weeks' notice.
Okay.
Because he has to
For the
open in
World
the mornings.
Series.
And serve
Because it'd be
breakfast.
good to have the morning show from
Yeah.
Billy's.
Yeah.
Peter knows it. I don't think there's a bar in Manchester that Peter doesn't know. I don't think we can drink that early though. Would Peter drink a beer at 7 in the morning?
You drink one at 6 in the morning.
But not Joel.
No, I would have like a Bloody Mary or something, but
Yeah, mimosa.
a mimosa, yeah.
A Cleveland
Yeah.
Cubs World Series. I think there'd be a lot of interest.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's always interest in the World Series.
But you notice that the Cleveland is only batting 199.
I know.
But that pitching.
Thank God for their pitching.
Has the Blue Jays down to 175 or something?
Yeah.
All that lumber, you know.
Yeah.
What happens like way back in the Yankees? You got all these big studs, and we come to the World
Yeah.
Series. Like Lee John said, they bat like 189, 195 or whatever that they just couldn't hit at the right time.
I got to say that 2009 Yankees team, the best team I ever saw play was the 1998 team, the Yankees.
That was a great
the best
team.
team I've ever seen in my life.
125 and 50
They came
for
in
the
and
whole
played a
year.
4-set in Oakland, and they won 3 of the games in the 9th inning. When Darryl Strawberry came up and hit a grand slam in the 9th inning. And I hated the Yankees, but that team, and I always was fond of Joe Torre. He had been the Atlanta Braves manager and gave my
Right.
father one of his few pennants before
Oh,
the
really?
era of frustration. You win one World Series, it's never enough. But that Yankees team of 2009 is not quite a Yankees team. Yankees teams always had great pitching.
Yes.
Superb pitching.
Yeah.
That new stadium, I don't think it's that pitcher friendly.
Oh, it isn't.
Look, it's a bandbox.
Yeah, I mean, the guys
They
on
can't adjust.
But
guys
right
on the
field-
Yankees are slicing it to right field for home runs.
Yeah.
Was it like 301 going down there?
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they were thinking of, when he built
It's
that.
not
How
a-
about the old stadium down
Right,
there?
it-
The old stadium.
Very
What was
similar.
right field? Oh, similar to
That's
similar.
field. When you came, I hated Yankee Stadium, and the physical plant was really gross, and you have like these plug uglies. But when you came up and saw that field, it was only I can only think like Wrigley Field or Fenway. It's like a diamond, literally, like
Right.
glowing, and the monuments.
Right.
And they were going to keep Yankee Stadium, remember, because it's the most fabled stadium in America. But no, they tore it down.
Yeah, they did. Well, the new one's close, and they need the parking. And,
But they lied. They always lie.
Probably.
They're like politicians.
I wonder
right?
if they can move right field back if they want.
No, it doesn't seem
do,
like it's
do a little remodeling in the
major
off season.
They could if they want to.
Yeah, I think because that's a joke down there.
It is. Yeah.
But it is what it is, I guess. But that's what I would do in the off season if I was the owner.
Oh, hey, we got some time. I was reading a couple of great books.
Even an orange.
The Last Innocents. It was about the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 60s. The team that was Maury Wills, Colfax, from 59 through the 66 World Series. It's like Michael Leahy is a political correspondent. This is an excellent book. You know, I don't like the Dodgers much. I remember telling Lisa, my ex, I was saying, you went to the 1977 World Series? Were you at the game Reggie hit 3 home runs?
No.
No, I'm talking about my ex, and she said,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? Sean, it's L.A. We all just were high school. You just go. It's just a place to go to. I took her to her Clemens threw a one-hitter, masterful game. Reggie Jackson said later, it's one of the best games he ever saw. It was one of those with 18 strike or something. And she just spent the time talking to a little kid next to me. You know, but, you know.
I think Reggie hit the 3 home runs in Yankee Stadium.
1977, right. But see, I was just saying, did you see Reggie or whatever?
Oh.
Or,
Well, I saw him play.
it wasn't Yankee.
I was at the game where he threw his hip out.
Oh, yeah,
And the Yankees still
deflected
lost the
thing.
game.
But, you know, in L.A., you go to the game. That was the first place I was ever at where they come late and leave early. And now that's common. You never saw that at Fenway Park
Oh,
until
no.
recently.
It's strictly West Coast. I used to get on him about that.
And the thing is, after 59, the Dodgers were no longer the Dodgers. They were the L.A. Dodgers.
Right.
But, we can talk about Sandy Koufax. What a story. But Maury Wills, that's a hell of a story, too. Breaking Ty Cobb's record, 96 stolen bases, 104. And he had an asterisk on him, too.
Yeah, because of
But it wasn't as
162.
famous. Right.
Yeah.
Because he didn't break. But he actually broke the record within the same number with one of Cobb had 156 games scheduled for some reason.
Right.
Because of a playoff or something.
Something like that.
So he had done
Makeup.
it, but they still put the Ford Frick still put the asterisk on him.
Yeah, those are gone now.
Yeah. Anything you'd like to say? We got to wrap it up.
No,
About
I'm just...
baseball. What's your prediction? Who's going to win the National League pennant?
I'm staying with the Cubs.
And you know, Cleveland's clearly the favorite.
Now, well, yeah, with 3 games to nothing. Only one team in history, and we know who that is.
Well-
Came back from 3 down.
And who is that?
The Boston Red Sox.
Finally, I get it out of you. Well, Mr. Baseball, give your ending salutation.
Cindy, pour me a beer. I'm heading to Billy's.
And we will have you back on next week. Okay. And Ward 13, tune in at 7 o'clock. Well, I'll be on Matt Connaughton Unleashed with Victoria Antonova. And Joel, you could stay for a bit.
Yeah, I got things to do.
You're going to leave Victoria?
Yeah, I got to leave Victoria. I got to get.
Shirley might.
I got to get ready for the show tomorrow. You know, Shirley's away. She won't be back until maybe Thursday.
Maybe I'll drop by after the show.
No, all the blinds, everything's gonna be all shut down. Tomorrow's a new day.
Joel, what are you planning on doing?
Nothing. I'm just gonna get it. Maybe. Like
We'll leave that to you, the viewer's imagination, because this is the family hour.